Welcome back to our deck tech series here on MTG Alpha. In this series we'll be breaking down our builds on various commanders, which you may also see featured in our commander gameplay episodes. Now of course every commander deck consists of its own lands, spells, and artifacts which make it unique. I will be going over the cards I consider as being the most synergistic and valuable to the deck. And today's deck tech is on Adrix and Nev Twincasters, a 2/2 legendary Simic, or should I say Quandrix, merfolk wizard from Strixhaven. Adrix and Nev Twincasters have Ward 2, which means whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless they pay 2. Adrix and Nev also create twice the number of tokens that are created under your control. Now in Simic we can ramp easily to get ahead with cards like Farseek, Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, Skyshroud Claim, and 3 Visits, all of which allow you to search for a land or two and place it directly onto the battlefield, tapped or untapped. Hull Breacher is a perfect fit in this deck, creating a treasure token for each card your opponents would draw, other than the first one they draw during their draw step. This card works very well in this deck by ramping earlier in the game and generating tons of mana with token doublers, and using that mana to dump it into Finale of Revelation, Finale of Devastation, or Biogenic Ooze. Biogenic Ooze creates a 2/2 green Ooze creature token when it enters the battlefield. At the beginning of your end step, each Ooze you control gets a +1/+1 counter, and you can pay 1 and 3 green to create a 2/2 green Ooze as many times as you can afford. Now in this deck you'll find there are several other creatures which can help you get ahead and dominate the board with lots of creature tokens. Avenger of Zendikar creates a 0/1 green plant creature for each land you control when it enters the battlefield. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may also put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures you created. Tendershoot Dryad creates a 1/1 green Saproling at the beginning of each upkeep. Not just your upkeep, but each player's upkeep, and as long as you have the City's Blessing, these 1/1s get +2/+2. Koma Cosmos Serpent also creates a token on each player's upkeep, a 3/3 Serpent which can be sacrificed using Koma's ability, tapping a permanent, or giving Koma indestructible until end of turn. Elder Gargaroth creates a 3/3 green beast whenever it attacks or blocks, but you may also choose instead to either gain 3 life or draw a card. If you're looking for even more card advantage, Quandrix has got you covered. Tireless Tracker creates a clue token whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. Simply pay 2, sacrifice the clue, and draw a card. You can also draw cards with Auron Frostfang, taking advantage of the amount of creatures you control and its ability, giving attacking creatures you control Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Now with Adrix and Nev out in the battlefield, all these tokens you created would be doubled. You can also double your tokens with cards like Doubling Season, Parallel Lives, and Second Harvest. Doubling Season and Parallel Lives create twice the amount of tokens as they're created, with Doubling Season also doubling your counters. Second Harvest creates a copy of each token you control at instant speed. Now what about creating copies of non-tokens? Helm of the Host, Sekishima of 1,000 Faces, and Spark Double each create copies of a creature you control, but what makes them unique is that you can target your commander, as they each have their own way of getting around the legend rule. The legend rule being, if one or more copies of a legendary permanent exist under your control, you must sacrifice one of them. Having multiple copies of Adrix and Nev means even more triggered abilities, doubling your tokens, and with Helm of the Host, the copies of your commander are token copies, which themselves can also be doubled. You can also choose to copy your other non-legendary creatures with Rites of Replication, Replicate, and Quasi-Duplicate. With these spells you can choose to create copies of Reform. Reform is a 4-mana 0/1 creature with a unique ability. When Reform dies, put a 3/3 blue fish creature token onto the battlefield with, when this creature dies, put a 6/6 blue whale creature token onto the battlefield with, when this creature dies, put a 9/9 blue kraken creature token onto the battlefield. Having Reform out on the battlefield with Phyrexian Altar or Ashnod's Altar will help you easily create the tokens generated from their abilities. And finally, Baya Visionary is a 2/3 human wizard which wins you the game if you control 4 or more copies of it on your end step. This makes for an excellent target, especially with Rite of Replication, which creates 5 copies of a target creature if you pay the additional 5 from its kicker cost. Adrix and Nev Twincasters makes for a great commander in blue-green. Its ability is unique in that it basically is Parallel Lives, which can be cast from your command zone. Being a 2/2 makes it an easy target for removal, but having Ward 2 does a lot in adding that extra layer of protection at all times. Being a 4-mana creature in Simic also makes it fairly easy to cast. Paying the commander tax on a creature whose mana value is 4 isn't too hard to accomplish in a deck that consistently ramps. I can easily see Adrix and Nev as part of the 99 Zexara, which creates giant Hydra creature tokens and typically contains cards like Parallel Lives and Doubling Season, creating copies of those tokens. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you planning on building around Adrix and Nev as your commander, or is there another deck you plan on adding it to? Maybe there's another legendary creature from Strixhaven that you might enjoy more. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. We have new episodes every week, including deck techs as well as commander gameplay episodes. But until then, we'll see you next time.